You are watching the biggest game on the planet. Billions of eyes. One moment, and then a referee raises a card. Red. The player is gone. The match tilts. A nation's dream dies in 90 seconds. And the man who made that call? He was wrong. This has happened more than once. It has changed tournaments. It has ended careers. And it has forced the entire world of football to ask a question nobody wants to answer. What do you do when the most powerful person on the pitch is also just a human being who makes mistakes? To understand this, you have to go back further than any single match. You have to understand what a referee actually is and why the job was designed in a way that almost guarantees failure at the worst possible moment. In the mid-1800s, football had no referees at all. The two team captains simply agreed on the rules before kickoff and resolved disputes between themselves. Then crowds got bigger, stakes got higher, captains stopped agreeing, and so, around 1871, the Football Association introduced an external official to settle disputes. His job was simple: watch the game, decide what happened, be final. That word, final, is everything. The referee was never designed to be perfect. He was designed to be definitive. There is a difference. And that difference is what makes a single wrong call at a World Cup feel like a wound that never heals. In 1966, England hosted the World Cup. In the final, against West Germany, a shot from Geoff Hurst struck the crossbar and bounced down onto the goal line. The Swiss referee Gottfried Dienst was not sure. He consulted his Soviet linesman, Tofik Bahramov. Bahramov said yes, it crossed the line. Goal given. England won 4-2. England's only World Cup title. Decades of analysis followed. Computer modeling in the 1990s, frame-by-frame reconstruction, 3D simulations in the 2000s. Most of the research suggests the ball did not fully cross the line. Oxford University academics used an image model in 1996 that concluded it probably did not. But the goal stood. It always stood. Because the referee was final. Now hold that moment in your mind and jump forward to 1986. Mexico City, the Azteca Stadium. Argentina versus England. This match had a political shadow behind it. The Falklands War had ended just 4 years earlier. This was not only football. In the 51st minute, Diego Maradona punched the ball into the net with his left hand. The Tunisian referee Ali bin Nasser did not see it. He awarded the goal. Minutes later, Maradona scored what is widely considered the greatest individual goal in World Cup history. Argentina went on to win. Maradona called the handball the hand of God. He said it was partly the hand of Maradona and partly the hand of God. The English players knew immediately. They chased the referee. He did not change his decision. He was final. Researcher and sports psychologist Gaër Jordet has spent years studying how pressure and attention affect decision-making in elite football. His work, published across several sports science journals, shows that referees operating in high-stakes environments are subject to the same cognitive distortions as any other human being under stress. Tunnel vision, confirmation bias, the expectation of seeing what you expect to see. A referee who believes a player dives will see a dive. A referee who has never been shown a handball from a specific angle may not register one at full speed. This is not incompetence. This is how perception works under pressure. And yet the stakes of perception at a World Cup are unlike anything else in sport. In 2002, South Korea co-hosted the World Cup with Japan. The South Korean team made a run that stunned the world. They knocked out Spain in the quarterfinals. 2 Spanish goals were disallowed. One was ruled offside. The other was called back for an alleged foul on the goalkeeper. Both decisions remain fiercely contested. The referee for the match was Gamal Al Gandour of Egypt. Spain went home. South Korea reached the semifinals. Critics called it corruption. Investigations were opened. No referee was ever formally found to have acted with intent. But the uncertainty never left. And that uncertainty, that cloud of what if, is the specific damage a wrong call at a World Cup inflicts. It does not just affect the score. It inserts a question mark into history that cannot be removed. The sport eventually accepted that something had to change. Not because referees were suddenly failing more than before, but because cameras multiplied. Replays became instant. What once required a grainy photograph now appeared on 100 screens in real time. The referee had always made mistakes. Now millions of people could see them in slow motion, from 6 angles, before the ball had even stopped moving. FIFA introduced goal line technology at the 2014 World Cup, a system of 14 cameras per goal, tracking the ball at 500 frames per second, able to confirm or deny a goal within 1 second with near-perfect accuracy. It was a direct response to years of controversy, and it worked. But it only covered one scenario: the ball crossing a line. Everything else remained in human hands. In 2018, the video assistant referee system made its World Cup debut in Russia. VAR, as it became known globally, was designed to correct clear and obvious errors in 4 categories: goals, penalties, red cards, and mistaken identity. The idea was not to eliminate the referee. It was to give the referee a second look at the decisions most likely to define a match. The implementation created new arguments almost immediately. Handball interpretations became inconsistent. Marginal offside calls were given after 2-minute video delays. The flow of the game stopped, and fans in stadiums sat without any information, watching referees press earpieces and stare at screens, not knowing what was happening or why. Frank Lampard, whose valid goal against Germany at the 2010 World Cup was not given, despite clearly crossing the line, later said that VAR, despite all its flaws, was necessary. Not because it is perfect, because the alternative was worse, because the alternative was Gottfried Dienst consulting a linesman in the rain. But VAR itself has produced wrong calls. Human beings still interpret the footage. In the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, there were VAR decisions that sparked furious debate in multiple matches. The technology changed the speed of error correction. It did not eliminate the error. And this brings you to something uncomfortable. The referee exists because the game needs a final authority. VAR exists because the final authority kept getting things wrong. But VAR is also operated by human beings, which means VAR keeps getting things wrong. The system is built on a foundation that can never fully hold, because the foundation is human judgment. Sports psychologist Sandra Hearns, whose research focuses on officiating performance under crowd noise and elite pressure, found that referees in international matches show significantly different decision patterns based on crowd size and vocal intensity. A roaring crowd of 80,000 does not cause a referee to cheat, but it does narrow his attention. It does raise his cortisol. It does make him more likely to interpret ambiguity in ways the crowd's reaction primes him to see. In other words, the stadium itself is part of the decision. The noise is part of the data the brain processes. A call that would be made one way in an empty room gets made a different way when 90,000 people are screaming. Think about that the next time you watch a referee pause. He is not just looking at the pitch. His entire nervous system is being pulled in directions you cannot see from the stands. The most famous red card in World Cup history may be the one shown to Zinedine Zidane in the 2006 final. Argentina's Marco Materazzi said something to him. Zidane turned, head-butted, red card. France lost on penalties. The referee, Horacio Elizondo of Argentina, later said he did not see the initial incident and relied on his 4th official, who was watching the footage on the sideline monitor. The rules at the time permitted this, though the practice was controversial. Zidane had never received a red card at a World Cup before that night. He was playing his last professional match. The card ended not just the match, but his career in a moment that lasted approximately 2 seconds. Whether Elizondo made the right call is still debated. Whether he had the right information to make any call is a separate question entirely. And whether the thing Materazzi said justified the reaction is a question football has never fully answered. A wrong call does not always look wrong in the moment. Sometimes it only becomes wrong years later, when the evidence catches up with the history. And sometimes it never becomes clearly wrong or right at all. It simply becomes a version of the truth that was, in that stadium, on that day, all that mattered. You watched that referee raise that card. You felt the unfairness or the relief depending on which side you were on. You will argue about it for years, maybe decades. And somewhere, in a room or a podcast or a comment section, Someone is still arguing about a card that was shown in 1986 because the game needed a final authority. And the final authority was just a human being, like you